Ready to do an album for Columbia Records, and I had most of the songs ready to go, but needed a couple of outside songs to fill it in. And my manager was around the corner putting on records and tapes. I couldn't see what he was putting on. And he put on this song that sounded very familiar vocally to me. And I said, "When did I record that?" And he said, "It isn't you." And I said, "I know, I remember the song, it's a great song." I said, "Who is it?" He said, "This new guy, Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers." I said, "I want to meet him." So the next day I got to meet Tom, and I invited him and the Heartbreakers to accompany me on an East Coast tour. We played the Bottom Line and some dates up and down the East Coast. And we were friends. We've been friends for our whole lives, ever since I met him. Well, I didn't see him for a few years, and then my wife and I went to a concert of his in Tampa in a sports arena, and people were throwing frisbees. And one of them sailed down and hit Camilla in the eye. And it wasn't serious. But one of the ushers saw it and thought somebody ought to take a look at it backstage. So the usher was escorting us backstage just as Tom and the Heartbreakers were getting off the bus going to their dressing room. And Tom saw me in the hall and he said, "Roger McGuinn, you got to come up and do some songs with me." Well, this is Tampa, Florida in the middle of the summer. I was wearing white shorts and a red Hawaiian shirt. I looked more like I was going to a Jimmy Buffett concert.
Oh no.
Didn't we love Jimmy Buffett? Wasn't he fun? Yeah. So I played a couple of songs with him. The next day he invited us out to the hotel on the beach where he was staying with his family. And his daughters were quite young at the time. So we were flying kites out on the beach. And he kind of casually mentioned, he said, "You know, in a couple of weeks, I'm going to tour Europe with Bob Dylan." I said, "Oh man, you're going to have so much fun," because I remember the 1975 Rolling Thunder tour that I was on with Bob. And it was great. It was great fun. And Tom said, "Well, I'll ask Bob if he can come along." I said, "Okay." So the next day he called up and said, "Yeah, I talked to Bob." I said, "Bring him along. He can be the opening act." Well, the way the tour was structured, Tom and the Heartbreakers were the house band. So they come out and back me up on a couple of Bird songs, and they do their set, and then they back up Bob on his. And it worked really well. And Tom was reading a book called Papa John on the tour about John Phillips. It was written by John Phillips of the Mamas and Papas. And I'd known John and Michelle Phillips in the Village. We were real close friends. We hung out all the time. And I wanted to read the book too, so I did. And Tom and I thought it would be good material for a song, so we wrote this song, "King of the Hill," based on John Phillips, Papa John. Ellie's asleep. You roll up your window. The night air is cold. The freeway is clear. In a green Gucci bag are your prized possession, the jewels of your mind. To hold back the fear. And when Monday comes round, there's a high lonesome sound, and she follows you down for the kill. In a white blinding light makes it all seem so right, and you feel like the king of the hill. The driveway is long, your princess is lovely, your servants all wait for your knock on the door. How many years will you crawl through this castle, so satisfied and still wanting more? And when Monday comes round, there's a high lonesome sound, and she follows you down for the kill. king of the hill. So we did these shows all over Europe, and we'd end up the show with Knockin' on Heaven's Door. And when we finally ended the tour, it ended up at the Wembley Arena in London. And we looked over, and there's George Harrison joining us on Knockin' on Heaven's Door. So I'd like you to join me on it. Knock, knock, knocking on heaven's door. 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 Mama, take this badge off of me. I don't need it anymore. It's getting dark, too dark to see. I feel like I'm knocking on heaven's door. Here we go. Knock, knock, knocking on heaven's door. 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 One more time.